And so we're trying to continue to expand our guests. And we have some new partners. Hopefully, I don't supposed to give their names in some of them because some of your financial institutions they have to get permission.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yep,
especially when you start putting their logo out there, and
that's
so
true.
sometimes we can do closed sessions in
Yeah,
Zoom
yeah.
and LinkedIn and things like that, or Zoom.
Wow.
But when you come out on social media, you want to make sure we have permission for that. So, but
Yeah,
we're looking to have some of our partners
yeah,
to come out and enjoy us on Thursday.
yeah. But did you
But
do last two sessions with the lender? You didn't answer that one.
yes, we did. So that was Laura
Mhm.
McLaughlin. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, yeah. She's good. Yeah.
Yes. Matter of fact, she knows of you. And when I told her that you was doing reverse mortgage, she said, "She's a lender. I thought she was a counselor." I said, "That's correct." I said, "Yes, she's still on the counseling piece." But yes, she was
Did you?
one of the ones that responded back really quickly. And
She's very
she's a
excited.
yes, and she's really good with educating. She had a prop there, the way that she was doing that. I think
Yeah,
they got a lot out of it. The
yeah,
way that yes, and
yeah. I'm
so
sure she covered a lot of my part too because she's very good in education.
yes, she is. And so, of course, we're probably going to do this series again. From what I understand, that is a large increase in need for reverse mortgage. And I got a lot out of it too. I mean, of course, I went through the course some years ago, but never really did the one-on-one in the field. But
Yeah.
it's a
Did you ask
great,
her to refer us?
pardon me?
Did you ask her to refer her clients? Make sure that your First Home Alliance is on her referral list.
That is correct. That is correct. We're
Hi,
on her referral
Kelly.
list, and she's on ours.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
And so we definitely got to do that and
Yeah.
definitely get her back. I mean, she was really great. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to welcome in our audience. This is our Thriving Thursday Live. And this is a series that we really enjoy doing. And really excited tonight to have my sister online. And
Oh,
you guys, if y'all don't know Song, she some years ago Song is not shy about asking questions. And so I want to make sure you all don't be shy about asking her questions. I mean, she will ask some questions. I mean, some questions that
yeah. Actually, I'm not shying and answer the questions.
Yes, said she asked me some questions I only answer for family members. I said, "You got to be a relative, son. You asked
Oh,
you asked those kind of questions."
I have a tough client, huh?
Yeah, like DNA questions you
A
asked.
tough attendee, huh?
Yes. And so, of course, this is our Thursday, Thriving Thursday Live. And this is the time that we actually talk about real information. It's real conversations that really help some real people. And we
Mm-hmm.
bring you real information, real tools to get you there. And so,
Sounds
we want to, and so for our audience there, we want you to like, subscribe, and go ahead and hit that notification bell. So anytime we go live, you won't miss a beat. You won't miss a lesson. You won't miss any of our special guests that we're having. We're looking forward to a amazing series for this month. And we have some other guests that's coming in the future. So please hit that notification so you will be notified when we go live. Charlene, go ahead and welcome our guests.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for our Thriving Thursday. As Larry stated before, please like and share. But before we get into our conversation tonight, I want to tell you a little bit about First Home Alliance, who we are, the services that we provide, where we provide these services. And again, if you stay tuned to the end of the conversation, you can find out how you can receive these services if they pique your interest. So, First Home Alliance, we are a HUD-approved housing counseling agency established by our president and founder, Mr. Larry J. Laws himself in 2002. His mother purchased her first home at the age of 65, which is so important because we're talking about reverse. But I always say it's important to put that out there because it lets you know that there is no age restriction or age cap or limit when we talk about home ownership. So as early as 18, 19, 20, and as late as 65, 70, or give or take, you can purchase a home. And so his mother purchased her home. That really intrigued Larry. And so after serving almost 25 years in the United States Army, he decided to create his own job in the next chapter of his life. And that is how the inception of First Home Alliance came about. Now, what is our mission? Our mission is to increase home ownership to low to moderate income family, along with serving our veteran community. The services that First Home Alliance provide is pre-purchase counseling as well as education. Our counseling, you want to buy a house, you Googled it, and there's a bunch of classes that come up because there is a bunch of education. But in terms of that one-on-one, maybe not so much. I know it's out there, but not so much in terms of being able to Google it. But First Home Alliance provides that counseling. We help you build your home buying team to help you get to the finish line. And so that's our counseling. Our pre-purchase education is our first time home buyers class, which we just had one on the 16th of May. Our next one's going to be in June 20th, but we'll talk about that with our announcement. And so that's the education that First Home Alliance provides. We also provide loss mitigation services. Loss mitigation means I currently own a home. I may be experiencing a hardship, whether it be through death, disability, divorce. I got furloughed, I got laid off. One of those, right? So say that happens to you and you currently own a home and you want to sustain home ownership or you want to protect your asset. First Home Alliance acts as an advocate on your behalf to help you do just that, protect that asset. We want to make sure that you do not experience foreclosure. And so those are the two in terms of pre-purchase counseling, loss mitigation. We also provide rental counseling. I know there's people experiencing, potential evictions. And so First Home Alliance will act again as an advocate on your behalf to help you from being evicted, because in our world, that's a harsh reality if you allow eviction to happen in terms of being able to find adequate housing. So First Home Alliance assists with that. Debt budget management along with emergency preparedness. Now, all of these services are offered in Virginia, Maryland, as well as the South Side of Chicago. But it does not matter where you're located because of the fact that we do operate virtually. First Home Alliance can assist. And so again, as I stated before, we want you to stay tuned to the end of our conversation so you can find out how you can receive these services if you are interested. And with that being said, I think we're going to throw it back to Mr. Laws. Larry?
All right, Charlene. Yes, and so this evening we have a special guest that's been a partner a long time, and now a member of our team that is doing a great job with reverse mortgages in one of the areas that we have expanded in, and that is reverse mortgage. And so, if you've been watching us for the last couple of weeks, we've been covering the reverse mortgage. I know some call it reverse mortgage, but also it is also known as the home equity conversion mortgage. In week one, just a little recap, we sat down, we talked to our mortgage lender, Lori McLaughlin. She walked us through the basics, talked about how the HECM application process works, who qualifies and things of that sort. And she led that series very well. And she also talked about how the lender evaluate the income tax and credits and things of that sort. Then week two, Lori came back and she took us deeper in reference to property title, trust, power attorney, and also what families need to know about anyone insights. Now, those two sessions was great, but look here. Tonight, we're going to shift this perspective. We're going to shift our perspective tonight and go on the other side of the table. Our guest tonight is Song Hutchins. So she's on your side. Like one of those insurance companies talking about who's on your side. Well, on your side, you have a HUD certified counselor. She's HECM, which is a home equity conversion mortgage certified as well. She will cover the entire role, and she's one of the person that actually served on your behalf. She don't act under the lender. She's not there on the lender's behalf. She's not there on the real estate's behalf. She's there on your behalf. And HUD required that everyone pursuing the HECM is complete independent counseling. And so she's one of those counselors. And so again, I know this is very interesting information. No, it's not. Maybe everyone says it's not for me, but I'm quite sure that you have a relative or you may be heading that direction if you're going to make it to a certain age that this will definitely benefit. So you want to share that. And so without further ado, I would like to just anyone that's watching, go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know where you're joining us from. Also, go ahead and like and hit the notification. But we would like to see some questions come up. And of course, if you're catching this on the replay, go ahead and send your questions in later and we will get those back to you. But tonight, go ahead and put your comments there. We're monitoring the chat line and we're going to bring it live here. And so tonight we have Song. Son, welcome to Living Thriving Thursday Live, and welcome to the show tonight. And so, Song, I know I told a little bit about you, but yes, how's it going?
I'm doing great. As you know, I have not been in public speaking for a long time. So if I kind of, searching for words on the public speaking, even though it's a Zoom, please understand.
Yeah. So I remember some years ago, I guess we met probably around 2007, 2008.
Yeah, I think probably even before that, maybe
before that, yes. And I didn't really like speaking either. People think that I always, and you actually, I remember you telling me, you saying, Larry, you have a good voice, so you should speak. Because I was telling you, Song, I really don't want to go and do that, I'll force it myself. So I remember you saying that.
I know. Tonight I have to compete with your voice,
Yeah. Well, you encourage me, so I'm encouraging you, okay?
Yeah, so we know each other for a long time, I guess. Now we can call it brother and sister.
That's right. You are definitely my sister. Yes. And so, Song, tell our audience more about you. Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. So I started as a banker. I managed the bank branches for a total of about 18 years between Riggs Bank. I'm not sure. Some of you are old enough to know the Riggs Bank. And then I moved to the Chevy Chase, which is now is Capital One. They took over Chevy Chase. So I managed their branch for about 18 years. And then out of that, about 4 years, I moved to the mortgage division. So then, of course, because I needed to make money pay for my two girls' college education, so I needed a stable, income generating job. So I was there. But then, after 4 years of mortgage, my girls finished the college, so I decided to do what I like to do, which is working with the seniors. I really wanted to work closely with, helping them by utilizing my background of finance and mortgages. So I found the reverse mortgage was a perfect match for me. So I really enjoyed doing reverse mortgages. So first I decided to originate the reverse mortgage in about 2005 with the Wells Fargo Bank, which is what they were the biggest lender then. So I stayed with them for a few years. And then I think only about 2 years. It's just enough to learn all the, get all the educations and training. And then I started my own, own mortgage, reverse mortgage originating company, work with a mortgage broker. I did that for about 4 years. And then I realized we need a counseling, especially when I speak other languages. And I think I can help, especially my, my community. And there wasn't many, reverse mortgage counselors then. I was the only one Korean-speaking reverse mortgage counselor for the nationwide for so many years. And I know even today, there's only not even a handful of Korean-speaking reverse mortgage counselors nationwide. So I decided to go into the counseling session instead of originating, which you would make a lot more money. But I decided to do the reverse mortgage counseling. And then therefore, 2010, I created my own organization, as you know. It was the Asian American Homeownership Counseling. And I did that for about 12 years, and then I retired from them. But I also, when I started reverse mortgage, I work with the NORMA. It's a National Reverse Mortgage Association. So everybody who generates a reverse mortgage should be aware of that organization, NORMA. And at that time, I was, of course, a lender. So, and they do also have a special certification. They have it's called CRMP. It's a Certified Mortgage Professional certification. and it was really hard to get, just as hard as getting mortgage licensing or housing counseling license. But I was the first 10 people who piloted their certification. So, my I guess my credential goes a long way with the reverse mortgage. And then, of course, my Asian American home mortgage counseling, we did provide the reverse mortgage counseling. So I've been involving with the reverse mortgage since 2005. So what, 21 years.
Yes.
So
Well,
that's how I started and where I am today.
yes. Well, that's why we can consider you a reverse mortgage expert.
Yeah, I was
Definitely.
in the lender side and I was in
Yes.
our counseling side. Yes.
Yes, most definitely. And with in being a partner here with First Home Alliance, we were one of the 3 organizations that have actually selected to continue that
Yeah.
in the past grant cycle. I think more are going to come. I know they're trying to get more certified individuals certified now.
Yeah.
But the need is definitely out there. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate you being a member of our team.
Sure.
Yes.
I think HUD is really pushing for it.
Yes, yes. And so, Song, and so you're on this side now because you have been on the other side, and
Yes.
and so this is we've heard from the lender's role, and so I want you to talk about the product, the process, and the paperwork. As a HUD certified HECM counselor, what is the first thing you want seniors to understand that lenders maybe simply cannot tell you or maybe choose not to discuss? What would you like for seniors to know about that?
Well, lenders, it all depends on, of course, the individual, the originators. And some are very good at educating you and giving you information. But some are now, because of a lot more FHA approved lenders, which we call forward, right? Regular mortgage lenders can now produce reverse mortgages. A lot of those forward mortgage originators, they might not be knowledgeable enough or experienced enough, because for the mortgages, they like to just produce application and then all they compare is just a rate, right?
Yes.
So people know they want 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. But reverse mortgage is other side of it. It's not more than just rate. Rate is really, it's just a relationship between you and lender, but it is who's educating you in the right way with a deeper information where a client can really learn not just information, but the benefit of it or risk of it or, negative side of it, risk of it, right? So they have to know really inside and out, even though they may not remember all this information after month after 2, but at the upfront, you need to make sure they understand the products and all this, if it is really beneficial to them, or if reverse mortgage fits on them, right? Fits for their needs. So they need to understand all those, front and back of positive and negative, so they can make a sensible decision to say, okay, this product is for me. I need it. So then lenders may not be going that deep to educating them versus they want to produce the mortgages. So I think that sense of it might be different, but I'm sure some other lenders are very sensible to educating the seniors. I'm not crediting them indefinitely because they are our partners,
Yes. It's as Charlene can probably attest to this, when we have no, if they say shade, I've learned that term when someone said there's no shade or something like that. A lot of times they throw shade right behind that statement, but but really we work with a lot of individuals in the real estate and mortgage industry, and I've seen both. We have some excellent lenders that can great educators. They're great educators, especially one of the other organizations, the veteran side. We really like those lenders to come in and help us with the class, but not all. Some individuals, not lenders, but some people are very techy, and they're into the numbers. They know the rates, they understand the trends and things of that sort, and that's their now.
Well, that's what they're trying to do. Same for the reverse mortgage side of it. and then
Yes.
that's a risk for the seniors. And
Yes.
so first thing I always tell them, even though they come to us for the counseling with a lender's information, their product information, I always suggest them, just like anybody, when they do the mortgages, they shop. When
Yes.
they buy house, they shop, right? When they buy car, they shop. Shop for the rates and cost, and of course the service, right? So I always suggest them. I'm not telling them to do, but I suggest they should shopping and compare at least 3, maybe lenders, to see who give you the number one, a best information on client's interest, and
Correct.
then who also charges you less cost.
Yes.
Now, when every dollar counts for us, the seniors. So, I really strongly recommend them to compare a minimum 2 or 3, and then decide which lender they like the best. Not just for the cost, but their education and service too.
Correct. That's going to advocate for them. And so, Song, I know you have worked in a HUD organization. You've been around HUD for a while, and that's Department of Housing and Urban Development. It's some people consider it's a lot of red tape, and and so when they talk about go talk to a counselor, it make it seem like the counselor going to have you go through some hoops, jumping through hoops and everything, So is it really worth it? So why do why you think it's important that a third party, a counselor, should be involved in this process?
Well, as I said, counselors gonna be very objective, right? Because we don't profit from them. We don't have any financial interest from clients. So our job and purpose is to educating them and to make sure, they make the right decision, right? So I think it is important that somebody outside of who are involved, like realtors and lenders, and we are really outside of them. We don't get paid dollar from them, right? We just, actually client pays us, and we educating them. So, and they heard that a reason they want us to do the counseling is just for that. Make sure the clients get the right information, and make sure that they understand the products, they understand the risks and and benefits. So really, in bottom line is that they make a sensible, right decisions to move forward or not. And then also there's a lot of scammers out there.
Yes.
Some of the financial advisors or insurance companies or lenders or even their children, they all take advantage of seniors. Not everybody, but there's a huge number of those, scammers out there. So we need
Yes.
to make sure that clients understand this. That's their choice, and that's what they want to do.
Yes. And if you don't mind, I know not giving any, identifying information or anything like that, but what are some, can you give us an example of some of the things that's a real risk in reference to you want to ensure that the seniors are avoiding?
Some other the risks are, for example, whatever the available funds. If some people pay off their existing mortgages, it's a one thing, because most available funds they refinance the current mortgages. So there's really not much funds left to spend, luxuriously. But a lot of people who has no mortgages, no existing mortgages, and they may have a large funds available, and without thinking too far, they spend large sum upfront, like doing home renovations or go out purchase a car, or doing other things. So then if you outlive more than what you expected, I mean, reverse mortgages, that you don't have to make a payments and you can still live there. It's your home, even though there's no equity or negative equity on the house. So nobody's gonna kick you out, but you need extra funds to live on, right? So then
Right.
people run out of access to those funds, because of reverse mortgage, you cannot access to more than what is available to you. So therefore, they cannot access to, even though there's equity, extra equity in there, you cannot access to it. So some people couldn't manage their property tax and insurance from their monthly income. So house can go to foreclosure. Reverse mortgage, even though no payments, even
Right.
this is your house, it still can go to foreclosure if you don't pay property tax and insurance. And then if you don't maintain your property. So therefore, they really need to be carefully spending down that money they get from reverse mortgage. And then also another thing is, some people wait until last minute they need. Some people say reverse mortgage is for the last result or
Right.
for their
Before you throw the towel in, yes.
right. But I would ask seniors when they're looking at their finance and when they're looking at their health, and then if they're looking at other long-term care and other issues, and if they think if they leave more than what they expected, and then they need a funds to available if their asset savings may run out. And I really recommend them to look at their finance for the long term and then do the reverse mortgage earlier when they are younger.
Wow.
Because if reverse mortgage when they do younger, as you know, the cost is quite high, right?
Right.
So then cost will be stretched the long term. So basically each year your closing cost is much less, more affordable, because as the time goes longer. And then another thing is, because if they don't need that money right now, they can choose the product of a line of credit. And then line of credit without the monthly annual fees is a keep growing. It's just keep increase as your equity increase in your house.
Okay.
So in the time that when you need extra funds, you have a much larger funds that you can access to use it. And meantime, you really have either no expenses or minimum expenses you have to pay to maintain that account. So I really suggest them if they do until last minute as a last resource, the cost is much higher. And then and then it is a less beneficial for their beneficiary as well. So that's just my one of the recommendation I like to make.
Yes, and you just mentioned the finances, and I understand the finances once they get into it. But what are some of the things you're looking at their financial financials going into it, and so
Right.
what are some of the things that you're paying attention to in reference to the financial, and what financial documents are you looking at?
Well, we're looking at all their monthly income expenses and also their asset and liability. So we're looking at all those four things, but it's up to them to how honestly they give their information. And I work based on that because I'm not requesting for any proof of income or asset. So it's an honor system, right? So based on their information they given to me, I review, based on their current income and their asset, they really need a reverse mortgage now?
Yes.
Or what are their long-term planning or goals? So I listen to their purpose of doing reverse mortgage and then their goal, long-term goals or short-term goals. So based on that, I review their income and their asset and liability to, I never really recommend anything. I just saying that here's those products available. However, and I don't also discuss any kind of a rates or cost, but I kind of make a suggestion. They should have maybe think about this or just looking into this to see what they'll think. So I do make recommendations. So sometimes maybe rather than having reverse mortgage, they could have other options. Like some people never knew they can apply for property tax credit, after they're certain age, 65 or older, and certain assets. So I have helped so many clients that come for reverse mortgage, didn't know they could apply for credit. Then they can save thousands of dollars per year on their property tax, right?
Wow.
So yeah, I often looking at that and what other government benefits they are not using. So I also recommend that too. So financial assessment, we don't pull credit, but
Okay.
based on what they told us, we review. So some people, after my counseling session, they go to the lender and they pull the credit. There's some other issues, some other maybe judgments in there and liens on there and things like that. Because if they don't discuss or put that financial information up front of me, I cannot really discuss with that too much, right? Because it can insult them. So, even though we do all the counseling and everything, and lender could deny their reverse mortgage.
Okay. All right. Now, and you did mention, I think you touched on a little bit earlier about this, that they could foreclose. But what are some of the things that could come up that cause this loan to become due?
Right. So reverse mortgage, as you know, there's no monthly payments and no requirement for the paid off. And there's really no due dates. It's just like regular mortgages, 20, 30-year terms, right? But however, there is a requirements and there's a client's responsibilities that they have to do. So first is a reverse mortgage can come due. And of course, when the mortgage owners, the homeowners die. When they pass away, when there's a couple, when the last person die, the reverse mortgage is coming and due, and they have to pay that back. Or when they don't pay a property tax or homeowners insurance. So when they're delinquent, lender will send them letter saying that, hey, by time I would say February, because normally it's in the due in December 30, right? So by time February, they'll receive a letter saying you haven't paid your property tax. And then they normally very nice to them in these days. So they give them probably about 6 months to pay. I cannot guarantee this one, but normally they're pretty lenient, give up to 6 months to pay. But if they don't pay in 6 months, they will receive a foreclosure notification. So, and then so is HOA.
Okay.
HOA, same thing. If they are delinquent and because HOA can put the lien on your property, judgment on your property. So HOA also can cause a foreclosure. And then another thing is that when you, reverse mortgage, you can always sublease your room for extra income, or family members can live with you. However, for the little spending money. But however, if you rent out your home fully, and then you move and live with your kids or family members or different country, and reverse mortgage is coming in due because it's not your primary resident anymore. So
yeah, how long should you live in it? How many days?
Yeah, so reverse mortgage, the normal requirement is 6 months. So then all your documents, tax, driver license, phone number, those should be says is your primary. Now, there is an exception. So when you're sick, and then when you go to the rehab center, not the nursing home, not the assisted living, because assisted living and nursing home, it is actually permanent move. Most people is a permanent move when they don't come back to their house. But however, if you guys sick and if you need to go to rehab center, and then some reason that you have to stay there for longer than 6 months, they let you stay on the rehab center up to 364 days. So we counted, 365 days per year, right? Normally. Correct. Then, before the 1 year hits, you need to come home one day and go back for rehab center. And then you can count another 364 days for rehab. So that's the only time it's a medical exception. You can leave your home for more than 6 months as a primary resident.
Okay.
And then another time is then, of course, when you pass, or if you sell, of course, when you sell your property, it's coming in due. So so and then also sometimes they drive by your home, and then outside your house looks like junkyard, and they might think you not live there.
Okay.
So they're gonna ask you to come in and take a look at if you live there, if not, and they might telling you it's due.
Okay. So, all right. Yes. What about refinance? Is that an option with the reverse mortgage?
Yeah. So reverse mortgage, there's a refinance option is available. So as a purchase. However, for the refinance, most there's a lot of restrictions in there. However, when your closing cost for refinance is like 5 times more than your benefit, the cash available to you from the refinance is 5 times more than your closing cost, it is approved. You can do that. Or there's some other special reasons. So for example, rate drops substantially, and that will increase your available funds. Or house appreciated so much, so you can access to more money, then you can try for the refinance. There's some restrictions, but they're allowed to do. But normally, your mortgage insurance is waived or is reduced, prorated, if you do refinance within 5 years from first previous reverse mortgages. So there's some restrictions. Now, I want to tell one thing. Before you consider the reverse mortgage, talk to your servicer, because it is not the equity issue, but it is a line of credit or fixed mortgages. You want to, instead of receiving lump sum, you want to have a line of credit, or vice versa. You can talk to servicers, see if you can change the product. So if you currently have a fixed, but you want to change it to line of credit or vice versa, and lender can take a look at your file and see if you're eligible to do that without being taking out the extra money. It costs only $20. Instead, if you just, because you didn't know, you can do that. So you just refinance it because you ask some lender, and lender said, oh yeah, we can refinance it. So when they do the refinance, you have to pay all the closing costs again. And other than maybe there's a put rate on mortgage insurance, but all other costs have to pay again. So, anytime before they consider refinance, they should talk to the servicer for just changing product option.
Okay. And do that change in that option in reference, I know you're saying change in option. Is that a change of options, such as getting a lump sum money or making a line of credit? Is that the change?
Yeah, vice versa. Yeah, I initially did a line of credit. I mean, a fixed mortgage, even though I had enough equity, and I realized the rate I got is high, and I rather have a line of credit because I really don't need any more extra funds out of it, right? And then I also don't like the rate changes or some other reasons. So they want to, line of credit to be fixed or fixed to be line of credit, but you have to meet their requirements. But if you do, it costs very minimum.
Okay. All right. And so that is definitely good to know that that you can change.
Yeah, most people, I think I can tell you more than 90% of people don't know this option.
Yes. Okay. And so with that, are there, can you warn our audience of maybe some scams that maybe seems real or sounds real, but maybe they should be aware of?
Well, it's a real thing. There's a lot of scams out there, and I'm not going to talk to another attorneys or financial advisors that are scamming, but often it is family members who has a power of attorney, or their home care caregivers. Often caregivers also have a power of attorney, or even though they don't have a power of attorney, they convince the homeowner, and then of course they're just helping in the side. But eventually, when their loan is closed, the funds will go to them to use for purchase, other financial products, or they just, money goes to mom's bank account, but they have a power of attorney to keep utilizing it, spending down the mom's money. And it happened just so many times. It is a real story. It's really, parents need to watch out for whoever that is close to them. And when they give power of attorney, they have to be really trust them. They can take care of their, them and their money. And they're also really caregivers, the second largest also. That does a fraudulent scamming for their reverse mortgage and then take out their money to spend. So it's a real stories.
Yes. And so, but caregivers can somehow end up being signing a power attorney for the
They have a power of attorney, but sometimes without the power of attorney, most seniors who has a caregivers, they are not necessarily Alzheimer's, right? So they are mentally cognizant, but however, they got convinced by them, and you need a reverse mortgage to have more funds available for their services and other things. So, and then there are a side of them to make sure, have them do the reverse mortgage, and then seniors write a checks or take out money, and then money goes to them. Some other times they have access to your checking account because they write a check for them, for the seniors. So those are really real stories.
Yes. Now, how important it is for a family member to be involved, or is it?
I'm sorry?
Is it important for a family member to be involved? I mean, in
Of
the
course.
process, even they
Of
may not
course.
be on the loan.
Of course, I probably mentioned that you guys, when somebody requests for the reverse mortgage counseling, you can always suggest and recommend them. And even though they are very, alert now, they are, just like, people who are 50s, but, if they're already 70s or 65, 70s, next few years, they need help with somebody's, managing their finance, right?
Right.
So I always like to suggest they should have either family members or children, or even somebody they trust, their neighbors, or church pastors or whoever they trust, to get an education together. So when they do the counseling session, anybody can attend the counseling session. I can have 10 people if they want to. Even though, lenders, the government doesn't require, I only need to have a homeowner's signature, but many people can attend to learn, so they can eventually help them as they go. But oftentimes the people are 60s or even 70s,
Mm-hmm.
they think that they are still alert enough, they understand, and they can manage it. So they say, oh, no, 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 no. But I always tell them, if nobody else attend the counseling with them, I tell them, as soon as you get home, next couple months, you make sure you educate somebody what you know, so they
Yes.
can eventually take care of your money.
Yeah. And so can you like break it down really? We may have some on the line that maybe not even close to the age, but also some of our audience may be listening that may not know a lot of the technical terms. What are some of the questions if they just in the room with a family member that's going through the counseling? What are some questions they may want to ask that counselor to better explain it to their to the senior?
Well, sometimes, even though after do the counseling session, they still think, even though I explained, it's your home. Nobody can tell you to move out. Nobody can kick you out as long as you pay those, property tax, the homeowners insurance, and maintain some minimum maintenance on your home. And then I keep telling them it is your home. Title is on you, deed is on you. But then they still turn around, and in a couple minutes they ask, and then I ask them question. So after reverse mortgage, when you have done reverse mortgage, who owns the property? And they said, bank.
That's what they
So those are all the perception is still there after they gone through counseling session. So ownership of a home, if they're gonna kicked out or not, that is their one of the big concerns. And then also another concern is if they are going to have anything left to their children. That's another concern. People like to leave something for their children and possibly their home. And then the reverse mortgage, the amortization table is not factual, right? It's not an actual number. It's just like today's number. They just estimate, your rate will be stay same and your property will be continuously appreciated. So that table is very perceiving. So I try to explain to them. And when you use the reverse mortgage for large funds, and after 10, 15 years, you may not have any equity left in your home. And then they are very surprised and sometimes mad at me. Well, this table, amortization table tells me I still have, so much equity in there.
Right.
And I said, it's not a realistic number. And I showed them realistic kind of, pictures. And then they said, okay, but they still like to have equity left for their heirs. And that's second really biggest question also.
Yes. And so that amount that is used up could be higher than what was estimated would be used in meaning the debt that's there. And so so that is true that the heirs would have to pay off that debt. Is that correct?
No, actually, reverse mortgages is called non-recourse. So heirs will be pay off the bank if there is more equity in the house. So basically, reverse mortgage balance and time they passing, it is less than home market price. Then there's equity. So then heirs has to be either pay off the reverse mortgage with their money, or they can sell the property to pay back. But however, when there's not enough equity, and then eventually it's upside down, which means the reverse mortgage balance is larger than the property sale, then whatever shortage, that nobody's responsible for that, because bank and government will be satisfied with what they're sold for. The property is sold for minus all the cost. So that's all they'll get, and they're satisfied with that, and they will not go after any other the homeowner's assets.
Okay.
So heirs are not responsible for any other extra money either. Yeah, that is a good. That is one of the best feature on the reverse mortgage.
Yes, true. If things go upside down. Yes, that's true. Yes. Now, they receive a certificate for this training. And so, what is required for you to issue a certificate?
So I cannot issue any kind of certification for this group session. This is a group session. So HECM certification is only issued for the one-on-one counseling session. In a group session, if you want to, as an organization, want to issue a financial education certificate, you can do that, but not for originating loan. For HECM certification, cannot be issued on the group session.
Okay. And so with that one-on-one in the that is in the certificate is issued, is there anything else, or is there any other meeting or follow-up after that certificate, or can they
Yes.
can they talk
Yes.
to you afterwards?
Yes, after counseling is done, I'll have my first follow-up. I tell them at my counseling session, and then when I send them certificates, because most of my counseling is done by phone, I issue them after counseling is done. And when I email them, I also mention I'll follow up with them within 60 days after counseling session, just to give them enough time to learn to go through. And then I do follow up. And then if I don't hear from them, I follow up week after, and maybe another week after, 2-3 times. So yes, I do follow up. And then I also have my open door policy for anybody gone through counseling with me. And while they're working with the lenders, if they have any question, and they can always reach back to me. But I cannot really discuss with lenders their rates and costs, and when they have a problem with coming for appraisals and home inspections, whatever they need to do, it's not my part of there's something that I can help. But anything to do with the products, the services, or reverse mortgage itself, and I'm always open to answer their questions.
Okay. All right, got two more questions for you. And so this next question is prior to, I guess, coming to First Home Alliance and actually requesting for the counseling, what are some of the things that they should do prior to that they should have already completed before they get to you?
They complete what? Our application?
Yes. Before they before they come in and talk to you, what state should they be in, and what they should have completed?
Yeah, so per HUD requirements, we do have to have them signed our application because we need to collect their personal information and then proper information. And then also financial statements. So they need to contact the First Home Alliance to complete their intake form for reverse mortgage. And then before they come to see me, they should have at least meet with one lender and get some estimate. We call lender documents. So they have at least the first lender documents where I can work with them. Now, HUD says housing counselor can do that exactly same thing. I can issue them the counseling disclosures and also that I can give them the estimate information. But however, mine is just whatever general available information. And it's not really actual number, right? Because I just make up the closing costs by what some of the available systems are giving. But if lenders are giving them the same documents, they can actually give them the actual numbers. So then it's easier for me to go over. So then when the lenders go over and when I go over, we have the same information and we have the same picture, right? So because I don't want the customers to be confused by when we give you the one number and then when the lenders give another number, I don't want them to argue with the lenders saying that, well, my counselor gave me these numbers and the why yours is high, because my number is not an actual number.
Yes.
So we strongly suggest they meet with a nice lender and have all the basic information and education from them, and then get the lender documents, and then complete your application, the First Home Alliance application. And then when I get those information and I give the dates for the counseling session, and then before the counseling session, I highlight some of the counseling information pages and I send to them before the counseling session, so they can follow with me and what the highlights are. Instead of like, for example, their loan comparison pages, there's like 3-4 different products with the cost, or how much funds available, and I highlight them with the yellow so they can follow me, what I'm pointing out. Because they don't have to understand every number in the page, right? So,
Right.
So that's the whole procedure, and they do need to make a counseling fees, right? For First Home Alliance collects upfront.
That's correct.
That was my suggestion. But yeah, I mean that is the steps they have to take when they come to you or before come to me.
Okay, super. All right, and the last question for tonight, of course, the song is going to be back next Thursday. But then, song. If there was one thing that because they may go talk to that lender before seeing you, what would be that one thing you would say for the seniors should know prior to? What should they look in prior to going to talk to the lender? Before they talk to the lender, what is the one important thing that you think that they should know?
I think before they even consider the reverse mortgages, they're looking at their short-term and long-term finance first. Then think about why they were looking for reverse mortgage. And then just do some web search if they have access to websites, just to get to know some basic informations. And then there's a lot of information is available through HUD.gov, right? HUD.gov or norma.org. There's a lot of information is available, and they should do a little study to see if this is something I like to do. And then I would not suggesting anybody to talk to anybody who had reverse mortgages or their friends or family members or whoever know about reverse mortgage a little bit, and then they're giving all the wrong information. So don't listen to anybody else. Just do a little reading and then talk to lenders and then get all the lender side of a basic information, and then come to us counseling, and then counselor will complete those information and education, right? So don't listen to other people who are not an expert on the products.
Yes. All right. Well, I hope definitely, audience, you're listening to an expert here tonight, and and we're gonna put up contact information. We're gonna give you the help desk for individuals to get in contact with us. We will
Yes.
get any messages through Song. Of course, you can send our messages through this chat here. But if you need to get a message to our reverse mortgage counselor, send it through our help desk, and
Yes.
it's help@firsthomealliance.org. Now, once you finish your intake and you become a counseling client for a reverse mortgage account, and then her ears and eyes and everything gonna be totally, and you have direct contact with her. But there is a process and steps that we want you to go through before you have that one-on-one with.
Yes,
with
exactly.
Yes, yes. Okay. So it was, I really appreciate the conversation we had tonight. And you gave out some definitely some valuable information, and it came from your heart, and really appreciate it because you really care. You
Yeah.
really care. And so it is amazing that you continue to do what you do. And of course, we're looking forward to having you next Thursday. And for our audience, Song is going to be back on next Thursday. She's going to actually walk us through the steps of the counseling to closing, and also some of the responsibilities that you need to take note of that you're going to be responsible for after closing. And she'll tell you about the legal protections and how that you could be able to be successful in your reverse mortgage journey. So
yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot of overlapping informations in there because we covered a lot today. So
yeah,
I think that we can cover some things we didn't cover today, but then we can also open up for other questions from lenders and then also from session today. So we can kind of combine them because I think that from hearing from new topics next week, there's a lot of overlapping from today.
yes, a little bit of overlap. We're going to ask them a little bit different way.
Or we can also talk a little bit about the purchase too.
Yes, and I won't repeat anything from the last session. So yes, we'll definitely drill down on that too, because I think that is a big interest.
I also briefly touch on the legal documents, what counsels are looking for versus what the lenders have. Because often they think why we need a copy of them. It's only lenders who have it. So I'll also cover briefly that, but you can ask their questions and just extra.
Sounds good. All right, Song. All right, for our audience, Charlene, you have announcements.
Yes, so we have our first time homebuyers class for the month of June. That's going to be scheduled, that's going to be located at the McCourt Building, located in Woodbridge. It's going to be June 20th. Again, that is our first time homebuyers class. It's going to be scheduled for June 20th. There are still some seats available, so you can visit our website at www.firsthomealliance.org to register. Also, I've noticed that I see where we have our gala, so just put that on your calendar. Our gala is scheduled for November 14th of 2026, and so just put it on your calendar so you're aware. We will be letting you guys know when the tickets are available for you guys to purchase, but for now, just say that date, November 14th. Right?
Yes, true.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't talk about Monday. My bad. Every Monday, please join us at 7:15 with Tippy. Get your week started off right. Again, that is every Monday at 7:15 a.m. We want you to start your week with Tippy. Got some good financial fitness tips and just, again, some exercise, moving your body. And that is, again, every Monday at 7:15. I don't think I left out anything else, y'all, but I'm getting old. I keep forgetting.
Yeah. In reference to our annual fundraiser, our gala is November 14th. And so if you are a business owner or you're looking at sponsoring, branding your business, so you can get in contact with me. We need to bring on partners and sponsors as early as possible. So if you're interested in sponsoring, then definitely go ahead and contact me, and we can talk about a special sponsorship and partnership opportunity. So please get in contact with me for that. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming in this evening. We look forward to seeing you again next Thursday. And for those that, yes, and thank you, Song, for coming on. And we're looking forward to seeing you. This weekend is Memorial Day, and as I mentioned before, we'd have Armed Forces Day. Those guys that are still in uniform. You have Veterans Day. Those that have actually was able to complete service and out of uniform. Memorial Day is those that pass and they were still in uniform. So those that did not ever get a chance to take the uniform off, and so that is what Memorial Day, we are honoring those Americans that perish. And so this weekend, we want to remember that while we're having a time off. And there's a few American Legions, some VFWs that are out at the cemeteries this weekend, but also they're going to be at different locations with a poppy campaign. We'll be at the Centerville location at the Coast Guard Exchange that's in Centerville. We'll be there on Saturday, I think from 10 to 4, and then again on Monday from 10 to 4. So if you're in the area, of course, you're military, you want you to come there and shop. You have some good tax-free discounts if you come to the exchange. And for those that are not, even if you're in the shopping center, you can stop into the hallway there and visit some of our veterans. That's 10 to 4 on Saturday and also again on Monday. All right. Well, y'all have a great weekend. Be safe, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.
All right. Good night.